What's up, crypto junkies? Welcome to another news segment. Today we're going to talk about the good, the bad, the weird, and the wacky in crypto. And let's just start off with UK Foreign Exchange teaming up with RippleNet, Ripple, XRP, whatever they want to call themselves today. How did they get away with that, by the way? I don't know. For the sole reason to facilitate payouts in Israeli fiat. Ripple just gets more and more Zionist every single day. And if you don't know what that means, and if you don't know what else is going on there, old Bill Clinton doing their keynote speech, all the weird stuff is just really starting to line up. And I'm liking Ripple less and less. If you're a day trader and you don't really give a shit and you want to make money, cool, go for it. I did back when I first started, but now that I'm like way more into crypto as like what it can be and what it can provide over the years to come, oh my God, Ripple's like the furthest thing from, it's like a step away from fiat. Like just have fiat, just have stable coins in fiat. That's it. There's no point. In fact, one could argue that it was a huge mistake to even let fiat into crypto to begin with. What if there would have never been fiat allowed on exchanges at all? So you got crypto for services rendered, for reward, for bounty, because you mined it, because you staked it, because whatever you were doing with it. What if that was the only way you could get it? And what if it was not pegged to the price of fiats at all? Wow, mind blown. So that to me is like a big mistake that slipped through the cracks. Just to facilitate payouts in Israel's fiat. Very strange to me. They got ties to Western Union and what they were trying to do there. That didn't pan out, but who knows? I think it will in the future. They're really trying to move in on a governmental front, and they're just, no wonder everyone's saying yes. But what'll be funny is when an actual decentralized cryptocurrency that everyone just is demanding comes along, and then they have to accept that because it's not in their best interest, but it's because they have no choice. That'll be a fun day. So anyways, that's Ripple. The show continues with that. We've got some interesting stuff. I'm going to talk about the CFTC former chair, Gensler, right? Gensler. Man, the names. And the new one, this is very interesting. Let's pick apart and divide these two. Gensler is very much an advocate for blockchain technology. Where is it here? What does that mean? That we make sure that there's not fraud, manipulation to the extent we can in the Bitcoin markets. I like that. That makes logical sense. So here's the other side of the coin. Brian Quintens, feel free to correct me in the comment section. Commissioner for the U.S. Commodities and Futures Trading Commission. Well, of course, of course, silly. The guy for the Futures Trading Commission has a problem now with predictive events mentioned in smart contracts. I'll say it again. Predictive events that are mentioned in smart contracts could be looked at as a future result, as a potential future winnings. And that falls under possibly CFTC regulation because it's a predictive market. It's no different than, I guess, gambling or futures contracts themselves. Let's try and work through this one together. I'm going to try and make sense of this. What they could essentially do if they get precedence with any of this, any little pieces of this. Okay, so let's say you have a token sale and you roll out a white paper later. Couldn't the white paper be looked at as a predictive future event? And we're not even talking smart contracts. They could actually work their way out of smart contracts at this point. But in a smart contract, based on a lot of coin projects will set the terms for how payouts happen to the team based on the result and the milestone that they hit. Like, this is how smart contracts should work. And some of them have this, a lot of them don't. Okay, so there's no incentive for the inner team to continue to work after the coin launches, because a lot of times these guys are taking their cuts after the coin gets listed on an exchange. And I'm sorry, but it's the inner teams that are dumping your coin, your favorite ICO coin that you thought was going to change the world. A lot of times it's the inner team, and then they all come back into the Telegram group. Gosh, gee, I wonder what happened, guys. Like, nobody's seen that. Come on. There's not a lot of incentive. Some smart contracts have this. I'm actually involved in a smart contract that has this, and I actually like this. I like this a lot. So it keeps me engaged, and this is really what I thought the true purpose of the smart contract was, and the reward of getting paid out in these different cryptocurrencies was based on these things. But understand that where the can of worms they're opening up is that anything that can be now deemed a predictive event that's wrapped in a contract, and probably not wrapped in a contract, somebody's going to try and get their hands in and try and wrap some regulation around, which is, to me, just an absolute disaster moving backwards. And of course, the Futures Trading Commission would love to see this because they want to have full control over the future trading market of Bitcoin. and all the other cryptocurrencies. So it's very easy to see this agenda. And now this is the annoying part that exists in the old banking system that I think a lot of that's just getting like picked up and ported over into crypto. It's the collusion. It's the bullshit games that are played to advance your agenda and your bias versus what's good for the overall people. Like, my gosh, if all these regulators were to start operating that way, we might actually have a shot at being a happy civilization, at being a happy species. But no, power and greed have to come in and affect these guys and make smart people not so smart. That's what it is. So, okay, there's a piece that I wanted to actually highlight, not in the public interest. Essentially, these contracts would allow individuals to bet on outcome of future events like sporting events or elections using digital currency. If your prediction is right, the contract automatically pays you the winnings. Yeah, I see this starting off as like a super niched, doesn't affect a lot of contracts right now. And I think that's because partially my understanding of smart contracts and really understanding how many different kinds of smart contracts there are out there. That's not my area of expertise. So with my limited knowledge, I think that that's probably limited scope to begin with. But if it does gain precedence, couldn't they just further keep extending that on and on and on? They're already trying to attack bounty programs with how that fits into the Howey test, and with how you're rewarding people for actions taken, which is essentially some sort of financial gain, which gets a lot more people to fail the Howey test than they realize with these coin projects. So this is very interesting to see this unfolding. I hope you guys are following along with all this CFTC stuff and all the SEC and FCC stuff that I've been covering on this channel. I've been going really deep into that because I think it's important, and I've been going really deep into the stablecoin topic because I think that's important. That video will be dropping. I'll be doing a full breakdown of now all the stable coins very, very soon as well. There's really just two ways to look at this. You got the fear model, which is, I think it will negatively affect me, so I'm gonna do everything in my power to get rid of it or make it illegal or whatever, break it. It reminds me of Uber moving in on a taxi market, and then the taxi cab drivers freak the out. The competition is good. It forces innovation. Competition forces innovation. It 100% does. Is that not what we want? And so you have one regulator who's saying, and I like what he's saying, let's balance this between regulatory governance and protecting the people and innovation. So the very competition, the very aspect of what this breeds is going to lead to the innovation. So it's like, at what point does the CFTC people sit down with the SEC, and how much sway do they really have? Because look, we just allowed quote unquote economist who's so myopic in his views, it's mind blowing. Rubini, who's blocked everybody, blocked us on Twitter, blocked everybody on Twitter, who says anything that makes any logical sense. You have a guy like that who is just able to sit in front of the Senate and give his opinion about cryptocurrency. Like, who the f invited that guy? And what this proves is that the US is doing a really bad job. I'm sorry, but there are so many countries doing an amazing job. Malta is doing an amazing job. And that's why they'll be the biggest winner out of this. And the US will be the biggest loser because they're just gonna kick and scream like that toddler he's been a bad boy, and you're trying to like get him to go into the corner or send him up to his room, and he won't go, and you're dragging his ass up the stairs. That's the United States right now, and all the regulatory bodies. The people don't want that. The regulatory agencies want that. Switching gears. Bitcoin exchanges, further crackdown in India. I'm keeping a pulse on India. I'm keeping a pulse on China. I hope you're noticing this. China, India, I'm talking about quite a bit, and the US. And there's good reason for that. So Unocoin, or no coin, could that be a silent U? No coin? I don't know. Further clampdown is happening. They're now turning to stable coins so that they still have some sort of exit fiat option. Why not just get rid of it completely? Just get rid of the fiat options completely. I think it would be really ballsy. It's a scary thing. Time out. Let's just take a step back. Is that not horrifying to think about? That you now are solely relying on a closed loop system that without adoption, you really can't use it and you really can't do with it. But doesn't that also give it the best chance of survival, of really making it? But we've given it this way out. You know, we've letting the pressure out. So we're like pumping up the balloon. We got a big ass hole out the bottom, and nobody's pointing out the hole. They just keep pointing out the fact that there's not enough pressure to pull this balloon up in the air. They're setting up ATMs. Bangalore? Whatever. They're setting up ATMs all over India. Sometimes I just can't pronounce. If you take it serious and you just can't trust me because I can't pronounce, So be it. What I find interesting, the crypto community is suffering from this ban. I don't think they should care, because if it was a closed loop system, it wouldn't matter anyway. China further expands into South Korea. It's BTCC, which is one of the oldest exchanges, started in 2011. Further expanding through China now into South Korea. This is good. Again, keep your pulse on what's going on with China, South Korea, North Korea. There'll be bigger players as this unfolds. Headline cruise for just a second and wrap up there. I think that's all I had. Oh, somebody got robbed and then brutally murdered for a face-to-face Bitcoin transaction. So stay safe out there. Obviously, vet these people, maybe ask them some questions more than you normally would. Shit's getting weird out there, okay? It's not just in America, but it's in a lot of countries. Stuff is getting a little strange. And you got to just take some common sense. If the country is got a lot of pressure and stress going on within its ecosystem, then people are going to do a lot dumber stuff. So let's meet in public. Let's do some things that ensure my safety, okay? So Venezuela would be a country that you just don't show up and meet some guy in a dark alley to exchange some Bitcoin probably. That's probably a bad idea. The US would be another country that I think would be pretty bad right now because of all the mongering and propaganda going on back and forth, which is somehow what seems like overnight made it okay for some people to do whatever the they want while other people can't. Weird. And then guilty until you prove yourself innocent in a lot of situations. Strange. But anyways, I think Bitmain with the tariffs are going to be affected more and more as time goes on. Now, long term they might be okay, but short term this is bad. Right? As trying to run IPO, I think they're actually running out of money. I think they have low liquidity, even though that they're claiming they have high liquidity. And now we've got the tariff wars going on between China and the US. So how does that affect Bitmain hardware? Well, common sense tells us that it will affect it negatively until some sort of resolution or terms are met. How long that lasts, I don't know. And how that will affect the IPO, I also don't know. But we can expect that it will affect it negatively unless they can put together some serious funding really, really quickly. Okay, 85% of crypto assets allow the developers to change protocols at any time. A Crypto Compare report reveals, and this is true for, my biggest beef with Gemini stablecoin too, just to kind of grab them out, that they can freeze accounts, they can make coins somehow inactive or bad, shut them off and things like that, things that they claim are protecting the ecosystem, but when you don't have a proper auditing system going on in the background either, because it doesn't exist right now. So you build it, you help build it. But anyway, a lot of these stable coins aren't what you think they are. And I believe that. And obviously Crypto Compare, they do really good analysis and reports, but 85%, that's crazy. Have you guys heard about let's do one more, the American Express sponsoring the anti-crypto content on Twitter? That was really interesting. I've seen some people mentioning that. I think I wanted to bring that up last week because it's not new news, but let me actually pull up the article because I want to show you the actual screenshot of it. So TikTok by Bloomberg. The cryptocurrency industry is using more energy than all the world's electric vehicles, researchers say. So here's the angle that they're playing. And this is very interesting. They're using the climate. You got to understand something. Time out. Let's take a time out. Cryptocurrency is being attacked by all ends. You think the Rubini thing was just a fluke? Do you think all the critics that are saying that it uses all this energy and climate change and climate control and that whole thing, which by the way, the UN gets billions of dollars pledged now every year out of guilt to somehow stop this when they're going about it all ass backwards. But that's, again, a lot of people are going to say that I'm out of my scope. I don't think so, but research that for yourself. This is made up. Where's the reports? Where's the research on how much energy is used to create fiat? There you go. There's your smoking gun. Done. Conversation over with, okay? And in actuality, there's a lot of cryptocurrency mining farms using and leveraging what we call dead energy. Okay, so energy that's just being wasted, being passed up, being underutilized through things like solar. So it's missed out opportunity on energy and electric. This is a very dirty game they're playing. And what this reminds me of going all the way back in time when electric was first coming out. I've seen people reference that Edison was attacked by the who was it? What was going on before then? The lamp industry. They used obviously fire and kerosene to make the little lamps, okay? And so electric obviously was going to represent a big change that would negatively affect the kerosene lamp industry, which was like how everything worked before that, which look at it now, it's completely gone. They, just like the taxi cab industry and Uber, they fought this thing tooth and nails and ran what we call negative PR campaigns. Now, the same thing happened between Edison and Nikola Tesla, who's actually the real inventor of electricity. All right, Google this yourself to find out. Nikola Tesla, at his time of passing, held over 500 patents for some very interesting stuff, but he undoubtedly created some things that, if they would have been rolled out in 1901 through 1910, would have made the world very, very different. Edison ran negative PR campaigns against Tesla because of some of his experiments had to do with elephants and some of his experiments had to do with live animals. Edison attempted to go after him and say that he was a killer of animals and insensitive and cruel and inhumane. So it's the same thing going on right now. This is a softball in comparison to that, but still a pretty dirty game they're playing. American Express, obviously it's in their best interest to make it seem that fiat is the most secure solution because that's where they're holding most of their balance sheet, is in fiats. What do you use on an American Express? Fiat, in fact, borrowed fiat. So this is pretty interesting. So it's like this Bloomberg's TikTok framed as research, right? And they're doing this. This is like a little mini propaganda campaign, a little psyop. Anyways, this has been refuted quite a bit, but if you're behind the curve on this and still not understanding the game here, is that like that's the argument. The argument is, okay, great, I hear what you're saying. Cryptocurrency is using a ton of electric, you say. What does it cost to create fiat? And then we're not even taking into consideration to run the credit card machines and the POS systems, and like how granular do we want to get in this little argument and debacle? I mean, somebody just sent $150 million in cryptocurrency the other day for 10 cents. And that's where I want to end this. $150 million for 10 cents. Are you kidding me? You would actually not, as a citizen of the United States, be able to send somebody $150 million right now. I have no clue how you would do that. You know how much paperwork you'd have to sign? Jesus Christ, you'd probably just be arrested. How do you do that? Would you just be arrested? Because $10,000 they have you signing anti-terrorist, anti-money laundering. They might even call you. They still might reject it. You're put on a list that's submitted at the end of the day from the bank tellers to all the three-lettered agencies in the United States. Just blows my mind. To end with my viewpoint is, if Bitcoin did nothing more than allowed people to move massive transactions around, and they repelled and got rid of the whole ETF idea, and I think they should boot out the futures trading commission completely, them as well, made it a closed loop system, remove fiat completely. If that was just a way to move big amounts of money, job well done, guys. Job well done with Bitcoin. That right there already changed the world. Okay, just the transaction fees and the scalped fees that would, come into play on that. How much would you even get charged? Mind-blowing. And you know, people see that through their Twitter feed and they kind of cruise through that and they just think, oh yeah, okay, cool, yeah, $150 million. Let that sink in. How much paperwork do you got to go to Western Union? You know, I remember when I had developers in third world countries, and well, what we consider third world countries, they're not. By 2030, most of these will be top 5, top 10 countries. India, Pakistan, etc. The amount of paperwork I had to fill out. Are you sure you know him? Are you sure he didn't like ask you to pay for, what was the old scam that used to go on to like unlock royalties through the bank or something? Are you sure you know him? 50 questions. How long have you known him? It's mind-blowing that even exists. If you like the video, just click the like button. That does so much, helps us get up in the algorithms more. You know YouTube. I can't stand YouTube, can't stand Twitter, but they're necessary evils. They allow us to get this message out for now, and until something better comes along and Gab takes off more, or BitChute takes off, or DLive, or BitTube, or whatever it's gonna be, until those take off more, here we are, planting our feet down on the YouTube game. So if this is the first time to the channel and you like what we're doing, click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. That way you'll get more notifications from us. Be on the lookout. We'll be dropping more crypto news coming your way soon, my friends. Bye.